during a crazy trade deadline day, it kind of ended in the middle of the night with more insanity as the Raiders fire Josh McDaniels while most of us were asleep.
What an epic news drop.
Right. Well, I mean, like right, exactly. News dump. Like they fire not only McDaniels, but their general manager and their offense coordinator. So complete clean house. Lots to get to. We'll get to all of it. Where do you want to go first, Connor?
I think we start with the Raiders because that's the pressing news before we get into some of the deadline winners and losers, especially from a fantasy angle. I mean, there's a lot of news that trickled out of this. Like you said, it's not just McDaniels being fired. They fired offense coordinator Mick Lombardi. Antonio Pierce will be the interim coach. I think from our perspective, guys, is that Jimmy Garoppolo is no longer the starter on this team. It will be rookie Aidan O'Connell. For a roster, Jay, that has Davante Adams, Jakobi Meyers, Josh Jacobs, like this offense still matters a lot in the fantasy universe, and now it's under the control of a day 3 rookie.
Yeah, and a few people have asked me, like, what does this do to the line? Like, is Aidan O'Connell better than Jimmy Garoppolo? And really what it comes down to is Aidan O'Connell's better than the Jimmy Garoppolo that we saw in Detroit, because everyone's better than that Jimmy, but Aidan O'Connell is still an unproven rookie who didn't show much in his first start. Showed a little bit, wasn't terrible, but he's not what Jimmy Garoppolo was hoped to be, or the Jimmy last year, or the Jimmy that could come back, or even the Jimmy from the first couple weeks of the season, as NFL Network reporting that the Raiders are expected to start rookie Aidan O'Connell this week going forward, Jimmy G off the bench. There is some injury guarantee stuff as well with Jimmy, where I think we've probably seen the last of him in Vegas. And so, look, the offense is just heaved up to Jakobi Meyers and Davante Adams. Can Aidan O'Connell do that? Probably. But I do think it is a downgrade overall for their outlook going forward.
Yeah, and I think this is more so of if this is what Jimmy's going to give us, then we might as well see what we got for real in this rookie quarterback. If Jimmy had come out the first few weeks before he got hurt and he was just, playing at a high level, higher than he ever played in San Francisco, I don't think this game against Detroit would have mattered as much. We'd just put it to the side as an anomaly. But since those primetime games will do you in as fans, coaches, whatever. When that's put on display, you got to just take a seat back and just say, hey, well, we might as well get a rookie a shot now.
So much to unpack here. And I want to give a shout out real quickly. Bill Barnwell, my friend and former colleague at ESPN, did an unbelievable breakdown of the Josh McDaniels era in Las Vegas. And I can't do it justice, but it's well worth reading over there at ESPN. Barnwell, of course, is terrific in everything he does. So lots to unpack here. First off, just what a complete and awful, horrific mismanagement of resources. What limited they have by the Las Vegas Raiders. Can we just talk about that for 1 second? Like, we'll get into the fantasy implications for 1 second, but this one, they had Jimmy Garoppolo. And yes, bad day at the office on Monday night for sure. But he's a starting quarterback in the NFL who's had some success in a league in which there's a lot of quarterback needy teams. Even if you say, hey, give us a 6th for him, give us a 5th for him. We just went through the trade deadline. You're telling me the Jets wouldn't have been maybe interested? You're telling me the Vikings might not have been interested? I'm just saying, if you're moving on, and I think that's the right move for the Raiders, by the way. Garoppolo's not the answer, and you've got to reset the whole thing. And the team is devoid of talent, and they've got a massive rebuilding project ahead of them. But if you know that you're making that move, before you fire McDaniels, before you fire Ziegler, before you do anything, why don't you say to them, hey, get whatever you can for Jimmy Garoppolo. Call every team in the league. You know what I mean? And just because now you're going to just have to eat the contract, and you'll have to try to trade him in the offseason or release him, and it's going to be a dead money hit.
Yeah, a lot of dead money.
I find it hard to believe. Maybe the Patriots would have taken him back. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm just saying Garoppolo, for all of his flaws, is better than a lot of quarterbacks currently on the roster in some NFL teams and some teams that are moving forward. He'd be a good backup, right? I mean, the teams that are legitimately in the playoff life that have a good quarterback, but maybe don't have a ton of depth, as we see with the Vikings. The Vikings are a playoff hopeful team that didn't have a ton of depth behind Kirk Cousins. Anyway, so massive mismanagement there. And so I don't know. The other issue here is that, so I think moving to O'Connell versus Hoyer is the right move. Get the kid some reps. My expectation here is that they just lean heavily on Josh Jacobs, right? That's what they should do with a young quarterback. And oh, by the way, he's one of their best players anyway. So just lean on Josh Jacobs. Here's their upcoming schedule, guys. It's not pretty. They have 2 home games in a row. They're home to the Giants, and then they're home to the Jets, right? And that's, by the way, that's a Sunday night game for us here on NBC and Peacock. I'm a company man. Then they're at Miami in Week 11, home to Kansas City in Week 12, and they don't get a bye until Week 13. Giants have played better recently. Dolphins defense getting better, and obviously they just got Jalen Ramsey back. Jets and Chiefs have been among the best defenses in the NFL all season long. So it's my concerns here. I think you still have to draft. I think you still have to start Davante Adams, because the one start that Aidan O'Connell had, he did like very much first read only, and that's Davante Adams often. So I think volume and his talent gets him there. And then I think Josh Jacobs, you're still playing him because he is a starting running back in the NFL and he's going to get a ton of volume. Makes me super nervous about Jakobi Meyers, who was a Josh McDaniels guy.
Yeah.
And Meyers did not, again, we're dealing with small sample size, but given a tough lineup and the fact that who knows what this offense is going to look like, feels like what we had in Jakobi Meyers, that's a wait and see until you see some success in this new regime and Aidan O'Connell.
Probably feel worse about Michael Mayer going forward as well, who had no involvement in the Detroit game, and we'll see. He was trending in the right direction, now trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Now he's a rookie quarterback.
The only positive that you might be able to hang your hat on here with Michael Mayer is if they just say, we're going full youth movement, right? We know Jakobi Meyers isn't part of our offense moving forward, and probably Davante Adams isn't. My guess is that they, maybe Davante Adams gets reunited with Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. They trade with the Jets, right?
It would not shock me in the slightest.
So, because we know Rodgers wants to come back, and we know they're still very close.
Davante wants out.
He tried to get a trade a month ago, they said.
Yeah. So my point is that Mayer is one of the few young pieces they have under contract for a while that's going to be there for a while. So maybe they get rid of they stop with the Austin Hooper stuff and they just go to, they just try to feature Michael Mayer. Again, nothing against Austin Hooper. I like Austin Hooper. But I'm just, Mayer's part of their future. I don't know if Hooper is. And so if they're going full youth movement, that's the only positive. But again, you're not starting Mayer until we see it on the field. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.